The main discussion around the Cleveland Browns this season has been centered on the quarterback position and specifically the development of Shedeur Sanders. But before evaluating any young quarterback, it is necessary to look at the conditions around him. The offensive line is one of the most important components for any team, and in Cleveland's case, the current level of protection raises significant concerns. To begin this video, we're going to look directly at the game footage that started most of this conversation. This footage is important because it shows exactly what Shedeur is dealing with from the moment the ball is snapped. It removes speculation and focuses on what is actually happening on the field.
I'm going to show y'all this video again because this is how bad this is, bro. So in the Browns' last game, there was footage of the Browns' offensive line looking spooky, bro. I just got to be honest. Looking real damn spooky, looking suspect. And I'm on y'all, bro. Every chance, watch this.
I was looking for Shedeur film when I came across the worst fourth down attempt of all time. It is 4th and 1, bordering on the red zone, and I want to direct your attention to right tackle Jack Conklin. Because who told him to do this?
Right.
What is that? The Superman whiff? My man. Aside from that, that's a false start in the backfield. He gets set in motion, and that's a false start right there. Doesn't get called, whatever. Lastly, let's look at left guard big Joel Bitonio because he equally whiffs. Nothing, just falls to the ground. Forget the unblocked free safety. He's going to whiff the guy up front, and both of them get through untouched.
This highlights the real structural issue currently affecting the Browns' offense. On a crucial 4th and 1 play, the right tackle completely misses his block, lunging forward without making contact with anyone. At the same time, the left guard also loses his assignment and falls to the ground before making any meaningful attempt at a block. As a result, 2 defenders enter the backfield immediately without resistance. When a quarterback is pressured this quickly, especially on a short yardage situation, the play has little chance of succeeding. This is not a situation where the quarterback makes a poor read or holds the ball too long. The play never had a realistic opportunity to develop. This sequence is not an isolated error. It is part of a repeated pattern throughout the season where the offensive line struggles with basic assignments, communication, and execution. When multiple linemen fail simultaneously, it usually indicates deeper issues, whether those are physical limitations, a lack of continuity, unfamiliar personnel rotations, or mental mistakes. Whatever the root cause may be, the result is the same. The quarterback faces immediate pressure that disrupts timing and prevents progress. For a rookie like Shedeur, who is still learning NFL speed and adjusting to defensive schemes, this type of instability makes development significantly harder. The important point here is to focus on responsibility. A quarterback cannot be held accountable for blown blocks that collapse the pocket within 1 second. These breakdowns would impact any player at the position, regardless of experience. Even veteran quarterbacks with years of NFL experience struggle when protection is this unreliable. The success of an offense begins with the ability to establish a clean pocket and functional blocking. Without that foundation, the evaluation of the quarterback becomes skewed. The conversation quickly shifts from what the quarterback is doing wrong to what he simply cannot do because he is not given the opportunity. Another aspect to consider is confidence. Quarterbacks depend heavily on trusting their offensive line. When they feel protected, they stand tall, make reads, and deliver accurate throws. When they do not trust the protection, even the best quarterbacks speed up their internal clock, rush decisions, and become less consistent. It is not a mental weakness. It is a natural reaction to repeated pressure. In Shedeur's case, he is being asked to develop under conditions that do not support long-term growth. These types of protection failures create unnecessary pressure on him, not just physically, but also in how he is judged publicly. The takeaway from this first clip is simple. The offensive line breakdown was not subtle. It was clear and obvious. This kind of protection gives no quarterback a fair chance. And this leads us to the next part of the discussion, how the Browns' own players describe the state of the offensive line. The best way to understand what is happening inside the locker room is to listen directly to the players who are experiencing these issues on the field and dealing with injuries, rotations, and changes at the position. Around the 3-minute mark of this video, we are shifting from pure game footage to insight from a veteran leader. Joel Bitonio has played in the league for years and understands the physical and mental demands placed on the offensive line. His perspective provides a different layer of context. Instead of only watching the failures on film, we now hear directly from someone responsible for protecting the quarterback. His comments reveal not just physical fatigue, but deeper instability affecting the unit.
I know their record doesn't, show stuff, but I think their defense overall has actually been pretty solid. It's kind of similar to us where the offense hasn't carried as much, but he's been great. I've played him a few times in my career, but he's almost even taken a step this year of just his power and his speed, and I think his hand combination pass rushing. But no, he's playing great. He's definitely, the straw on their defense. So something we have to, focus on.
Does he go both sides?
Yeah, he plays the 3 technique most of the time, but he'll line up at the shade, he'll line up at the 5. In true pass situation, he kind of gets to pick where he wants to go, but he plays on the right and the left. So I think all the interior guys, there's been a few that he lines up on the outside. Everybody will get get their hands on him a little bit.
Kevin, look yesterday.
Bitonio's comments provide essential confirmation of what the film is already showing. When he states that there's not a starter on the offensive line, it immediately signals that the group lacks consistency. Frequent rotations, injuries, and inexperienced replacements create communication problems. Offensive line chemistry is built through repetition, trust, and familiarity. Without consistent starters, mistakes become unavoidable, especially when facing complex defensive alignments. The unit is not functioning as a stable group, which directly affects performance. When Bitonio discusses bumps and bruises and the physical condition of the line, he is acknowledging the reality that the unit is not operating at full strength. By week 14, players are fatigued, and the accumulation of injuries takes a toll. It impacts movement, reaction time, and technique. A fatigued defensive lineman is more likely to miss assignments or get beaten off the line of scrimmage. This directly leads to quicker pressure on the quarterback. His comments about evaluating his future also matter. They show how challenging the situation has become within the organization. When a veteran begins publicly discussing factors that affect his decision to continue playing, it reflects the overall environment. An unstable offensive line affects not only the quarterback, but the morale and long-term outlook of experienced players. These internal issues contribute to the team's inconsistency on the field. The clip also reinforces why Shedeur's evaluation must be fair and contextualized. Bitonio is essentially confirming that the line is not functioning as a standard NFL offensive unit. If the players responsible for blocking admit instability, fatigue, and lack of continuity, the quarterback cannot reasonably be expected to perform at a high level. This adds credibility to the argument that Shedeur is not the problem. He is operating in a compromised system. When the pocket collapses early, passing concepts that rely on timing become ineffective. Play action loses its impact. Deeper routes cannot develop. The quarterback is forced into check downs or improvised plays, which fans may interpret as hesitation or lack of decisiveness. In reality, these decisions are dictated by protection or the lack of it. Without consistent blocking, offensive production will always be limited. The broader implication is that organizational changes may be needed. Improving the offensive line should be one of the team's highest priorities. Whether through personnel changes, improved coaching techniques, better scheme alignment, or increased focus on player health and conditioning, the Browns must address these issues if they want Shedeur to succeed. A young quarterback cannot grow while the foundation around him is unstable. Additionally, the organization must consider how protection impacts injury risk. Quarterbacks exposed to frequent hits are more likely to experience long-term injuries, which affect performance and career trajectory. If the Browns view Shedeur as a long-term investment, protecting him must become a central part of their strategy. Ultimately, both the film and the player interviews lead to the same conclusion. The offensive line issues are real, significant, and directly impacting Shedeur Sanders. He is being asked to operate under conditions that most quarterbacks would struggle with. Until the offensive line is stabilized, it is impossible to fairly judge his potential or performance. Based on the evidence from Clip 1 and the insights from Clip 5, the situation becomes clear. The offensive line is not providing the level of protection required for consistent quarterback development. The failures on film, combined with the acknowledgement of instability from within the locker room, confirm that Shedeur's challenges go beyond his individual performance. No quarterback can thrive in an environment where plays break down immediately after the snap. The Browns must address these issues directly if they expect improvement. The message here is not to excuse mistakes, but to properly evaluate the context. Shedeur Sanders is operating under conditions that limit his ability to show what he is capable of. When pressure arrives instantly, when blocking assignments are missed, and when the offensive line lacks continuity, the quarterback becomes the easy target for criticism despite not being the primary cause of the problem. For fans, analysts, and the organization, the path forward is straightforward. Improving the offensive line is essential. Until then, discussions around Shedeur's performance must reflect the reality of the situation shown in both the footage and the interviews.